Building IBM large systems at the Poughkeepsie plant requires dedicated teamwork by skilled employees. One important part of this production team, however, cannot be found on the assembly line. And without them, large systems manufacturing would soon have to come to a halt. Who are these vital people? The Product Publications Group, the men and women who create the Customer and Service Information Library. The Product Publications Group is housed in its own building near the Poughkeepsie plant and laboratory. Behind tightly secured doors, an organization of writers, editors, and other information specialists work to produce accurate, easily understandable technical manuals for the men and women in the field who keep IBM large systems online. How does Product Publications know what customer engineers need? Well, to start with, most of the 35 writers in the Publications Group are former customer engineers themselves.
I've been a writer for 6 years. Before that, I was in the field as a customer engineer for 20 years. One of the important things for a writer to know is what the audience needs, what the CE needs. Do our books do what they're supposed to do? We don't really know unless the CE communicates with us.
I was a CE here in Poughkeepsie and in New York City for 13 years. The key part of my job is to analyze information we receive from engineering and put this information into clear words for the people in the field. If we don't know what they need, we can't write for them.
Finding out what the people in the field need is a two-way proposition. Writers depend on development engineers to fill them in on new systems, specifications, and maintenance requirements. But if there's no feedback from customer engineers, there's no way of knowing if the manuals are fully meeting the needs of the people who use them in the field. Reader comment forms are one answer to that dilemma. When completed properly with name and address, each form is read and answered personally by a writer who worked on the manual commented upon. Manual development is a lengthy and demanding procedure, requiring the varied talents of the entire Product Publications Group. The controlling factor on every job is time, and two dates are critical. The first, when the system is to be tested. Preliminary documentation must be ready at that stage for internal review. The second and most important date is when the system is ready for general availability. Publication planners plan the workflow on a given project based on those two dates. The goal is to produce a quality document on time.
Yes, this is John Follett, Product Publications. I'm calling to confirm the date that we have set for the system test. Everything's ready?
Randy, I've got some questions on that data flow. Do you suppose we could get together and discuss it? Okay, I'll be right over then.
The major portion of a writer's time is spent not writing, but communicating with development engineers. Although writers are given hands-on experience with the new system they're writing about, their primary role is that of a translator, taking the highly technical information from the engineers and converting it into clear, succinct copy for the maintenance library. Sometimes a week or more of research will boil down to a flowchart for the manual. At any rate, it's a continuous learning process for the writers.
And what I'd like to do is move this exponent sum block from the TCM number 3 up to TCM number 2.
Okay, now how about the input lines? Do you still want them from both stage A and stage B?
Yeah, that's good for the exponent sum block, but I'd like to delete this line here from the multiply stage A reg to the multiplican A stage. Instead, feed that directly to the exponent sum block and have that feed the multiplican A stage.
Okay, we can do that. It's no problem. Okay, now do you want to use the actual facility names in this, or do you want to use some description names that would...
No, use the real facility name so people looking at it can know exactly what the register is.
Okay, we can do that.
The days of pen and paper are a thing of the past for most writers in the Publications Group, Now it's writing on the tube, as they put it. The ease of making corrections and additions on the text processor soon wins over the most hardened longhand scribbler. Because of the confidential nature of the information in the database, to gain access, each writer has his own password, which changes frequently. A further inducement for writing on the terminal is a feature called spell check. All keywords, acronyms, and abbreviations in a particular document are programmed into the computer, so they'll always be spelled correctly. But making the words understandable is the writer's job.
It's much harder to simplify than it is to mystify. The secret is knowing what information to put in and what information to leave out.
Even the circles, boxes, and triangles of a flowchart are drawn on the tube, thanks to the graphics terminal. When the copy is completed, the writer takes a printout or repro page to the editorial assistant for correction. The editorial assistant carefully checks the text for accuracy and then makes the corrections on the terminal. Each editor in the publications group works on an entire book, which can take from 4 to 6 weeks to edit. Like the writers, the editors also appreciate getting feedback from the field.
It gave me a lot of satisfaction to read a comment from a customer engineer that a document I worked on was well laid out. It's good to know that people notice things like that.
One of the toughest areas of an editor's job is keeping abreast of changes. Equipment is constantly being updated. If I have a question or if I suspect a technical error, I'll call the writer and I'll talk to him about it.
In addition to proofreading by the editor, every document undergoes an exhaustive review process. Before text is released for printing, it's screened by the writer's manager, several departments in engineering, architecture, the marketing department, and of course, the legal department. Each of these departments insists on reviewing a document not once, but usually 2 or 3 times. Changes are inserted almost to the day of printing.
We take pride in accurately formatting the manual for maximum clarity and usability.
After that, system modifications are covered by the release of technical newsletters. IBM's books and manuals are printed by outside contractors. The volume of publications is enormous. For example, the 3081 processor complex required 13 separate maintenance library documents, roughly 3,000 pages of material. With jobs like that, it may not be too surprising to learn that IBM is the 2nd largest publisher in the world, exceeded only by the United States government. Finished documents are shipped to IBM's distribution center in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and from there to wherever they're needed. Each member of the IBM production team plays a role in the success of large systems, from engineering to assembly to product publications. The men and women who produce the customer and service information library are actually in partnership with customer engineers in the field. Together, they've contributed mightily to IBM's well-earned reputation for reliability, service, and excellence. Today, self-diagnosis capabilities built into most large systems can pinpoint a problem and suggest a quick remedy. But for those more complex malfunctions, the maintenance library is an indispensable part of a customer engineer's toolkit. That's why it's so important to know just how effectively maintenance documents are doing their job.
Except for occasional field trips, the reader comment form is the only way to know how our books are being used in the field.
Customers want to know what services a machine can provide rather than how it works. In writing customer manuals, feedback from the field gives us an idea of how we can improve the quality of our manual for the next time around.
I was a CE before I came to product publications. A problem here is lack of feedback from the field. We really need readers' comments to find out whether or not a manual is working.
We're trying to help the people in the field, but we really need their feedback in order for us to do our job.
Reader comment forms are the key to better communication between customer engineers and other end users and the people who write the service documents. Poughkeepsie Product Publications is one of many hardware and software writing groups throughout IBM that need your feedback on all IBM products. In fact, each development laboratory has one or more writing groups that prepare your documentation. The publications groups are trying to deliver quality information that best suits the needs of the men and women servicing systems in the field. Let them hear from you.